Coffee has been grown in Jamaica since the early 18th century. Not being a native plant, it was introduced by an intrepid colonist, a former governor of Jamaica, Nicholas Laws. His renown as a prosecutor of infamous pirates, such as Calico Jack Rackham, and the two very notable women pirates, Anne Bonny and Mary Read, has been eclipsed in some circles by his foresight in bringing coffee to Jamaica. The plants he obtained came to the island by a fairly circuitous route, and the plant he ultimately brought to Jamaica was a progeny of a single tree in Paris, the predecessor of almost all the coffee in the Americas. Our story begins in Ethiopia, where legend has it that some dancing goats attracted the attention of Kaldi, a shepherd. These frenetic goats were eating the berries of a particular tree. Coffee was discovered. While coffee was most likely discovered in Ethiopia, it was first cultivated in Yemen, just across the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. From the port of Mocha in Yemen, the Arabs carefully controlled the trade in coffee, allowing only infertile coffee beans to be exported so that no one else could cultivate the plant. Around 1670, a revered Indian Sufi, Baba Budan, making the Hajj to Mecca, managed to smuggle out of Mocha 7 beans, taped to his belly. He returned to the mountains above the Malabar coast in southwest India and planted the seeds, growing the first coffee outside Arabia. Near the close of the 17th century, the Dutch governor of Malabar sent coffee seedlings to the Dutch governor in Batavia, now Jakarta in Indonesia. While the initial seedlings failed, future plants took hold on the island of Java, which began exports to Europe in 1711. As interest in coffee grew in Europe, Louis XIV of France sought out a plant and was given one by the burghers of Amsterdam. Around 1714 he brought the plant to the Jardin des Plantes in Paris, where cuttings were cultivated. Sometime prior to 1720, a French army captain stationed in Martinique in the French West Indies had to return home on family business. But he had another idea as well, to return to the Caribbean colony with coffee. The idea was more easily conceived than carried out. The only coffee trees in France were in the Jardin des Plantes, controlled by the king's physician, Monsieur Chirac. Coffee trees were not freely handed out, so our French army captain Gabriel Mathieu de Clieu enlisted the aid of a woman of quality to persuade Monsieur Chirac to part with some coffee plants. The plan was successful, and our French captain obtained 3 coveted seedlings. Captain de Clieu embarked Nantes in 1723, but the trip was fraught with danger. Near Madeira, the ship was beset by corsairs. It is reported that Captain de Clieu himself dispatched the corsair captain, but all we know for certain is that they overcame the pirates. But this was not the only mishap. A fierce storm came up and forced the ship on a reef. Supplies were jettisoned to lighten the ship, including water, as the ship was not that far from its destination, Martinique. Successfully off the reef, they sailed on, but then the wind died. They drifted for days in the heat of the tropical sun, and water had to be rationed. Captain de Clieu shared his meager water ration with the one remaining coffee plant he had. Finally the wind picked up, and Port Saint-Pierre, Martinique was reached. Coffee had reached the Americas. Sometime around 1728 to 1730, the former governor of Jamaica, Nicholas Laws, traveled to Martinique and obtained the first coffee trees to be transplanted to Jamaica. While they were not planted immediately in the Blue Mountains, it was not long before the tree was thriving there. the terroir where the bean could express itself in one of the most sought after and expensive coffees in the world, Jamaica Blue Mountain Coffee.